What's up, everybody? This is 480. I'm here with an announcement. Now that I have successfully finished my Mega Man Let's Play, it will soon be time to start my next Let's Play, which is. Well, maybe this will jog your memory. That's right, everybody. My next Let's Play will be Final Fantasy IV. I am super, super, super excited about this. This is This is the big one. This is the one I've been itching to do. Not so much the game itself, but just the Final Fantasy franchise, which brings me to a couple things I want to point out. Why start with 4? Weren't there, like, the name 4 implies that there were 3 other games previous to it. And there were. And I'm not going to do those games. I've never actually, the thing about RPGs, they get, for me at least, they're hard to play at first. They start out so slow and they start out so tedious, and about the only thing that really keeps me going is watching the story unfold throughout the game. And obviously, Final Fantasy One has the absolute best story in any RPG ever.
Blah, 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 blah. The world is in danger and we gotta save it. Please, save the princess! I thought I was supposed to save the world.
No one touches my princess, light warriors. You impertinent fools. I, Garland, will knock you all down!
Oh no! Anything but that!
So yeah, that one's really it becomes mundane for me. At least for me. I'm sure other people love playing it, and I've not really ever played 2 or 3, so I don't know much about that. I feel it'd be better to start with 4. It would be more enjoyable for me to start with 4. 4 is to me, it's a good introduction to this. I mean, it's not the first game in the franchise, but if it would have made a first game to the I think it's a good. It doesn't get any more basic than that. Final Fantasy One. If you've never played it, you had 4 characters, and they gave you 6 job classes to choose from. Not exactly job class, but kind of sort of. And you could choose your character classes. One of those character classes for your character. You could do it any combination you wanted. If you wanted them all to be fighters, you could make them all fighters. You could have a team of 4 fighters, or 4 white mages. You wouldn't get a whole lot of battles won that way. You might survive a lot, but you wouldn't really do a lot of damage that way. But you could do that. You could do it any combination of however you wanted. Final Fantasy 2. I'm not quite sure how that one. The gameplay on that one's really complicated on that one. I've tried to watch a walkthrough on that one. It's very it's hard to follow, at least for me anyway. Now, Final Fantasy 3, I'm even though I never played the game, I know what the gameplay, at least the battle mechanics, are like, because I believe Final Fantasy 5 very closely follows that one, and that's where they give you 4 characters, starting out as Bear, or what that particular game, Final Fantasy 3, calls Onion Kids. And they learn, or they get new job classes throughout the game. And again, any combination you want. And I think the real thing about that one is you can switch them in and out of different types of job classes. They can be a knight for 1 minute, and then after a while you can make them a white mage or whatever. I think that's how it works. That's how Final Fantasy V works. I'm not sure if that's how 3 works, but I imagine it is. So there's that. But 4, it doesn't get any more basic than 4. The character classes are predetermined by the game and the story. Like you got your main character. That's the other thing. You had a huge selection of characters in that game, but you only followed one of them. Like there was one of them who was like the center of all the action. You never left his side. He's the main protagonist. It's not all about him, but he's at the center of all the action. You're always following him, and he's never out of your party. And everybody else just kind of comes and goes as the story predicts. And everybody's there at a certain job class as the story predicts. And so it limits you to what you can do. You can only play it once. You can only play it the same way every time you play it. Pretty much. I mean, obviously you can do different weapons and equipment and all that kind of stuff, but essentially you pretty much can only play it one way every time. As far as like I said about 1, you could play it differently each time because you could do different combinations of character classes. With 4 you can't do that. So that one limits you, and it's a whole lot more basic. It all revolves around plain simple level grinding. And as far as story goes, that one that's really the first. 2 had some kind of story, I think. I don't know how it's all done out, but with 4, to me, it's the first game that had a real solid storyline, and it's not even. It's a good storyline, but they obviously got better as the series progressed. So I feel it'd be more enjoyable for me to start with 4, and then I'm going to plan to do 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then I'm not going to do any more after that because that's as high as I can go. 10 was on the PS2, so I can't do that, and then 12 I was also on the PS2, and then 13 is PS3 or that line of consoles. So I can't do any of that stuff. So as high as I can go is 9. Which is, all right. So that's a good chunk of it. Obviously, they'll take a lot longer to play than, Sonic or Mega Man or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Final Fantasy IV, and then I'll probably get back, after I do that, I'll probably get back in the, Sonic and Mega Man and do a little bit of that, and then go back to Final Fantasy V, and then kind of go back to Mega Man, and, kind of sort of rotate it here and there. Try to balance it out a little bit. I think that would be the best way to do it. And I will say most of the... first of all, playing Final Fantasy, Let's Playing it would be an undertaking because it's only been recently that I've gotten into the series. I never really played the games before, like when I was a kid, so it's only been, only for like the last couple of years that I've really gotten into the series. So for me to actually attempt to Let's Play at it would be kind of ambitious, but I can do it because if there's a one that I've been following. His name is H.C. Bailey, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people would know him. He's one of the best RPG Let's Players that I've seen, mostly for the fact that he's very detailed in how he plays the game. He gets just any secret he pretty much already knows. I mean, he did 12. And got just about everything in 12. And anybody who's played 12, which I haven't personally, but supposedly 12's like freaking huge. So for him to get everything in 12 is pretty ambitious. And at least that's what everybody was saying. They were like, wow, I can't believe he gets everything in this Let's Play. So any secrets there, he kind of knows how to get them. Obviously, he didn't find them himself. He probably, not all of them by himself. He uses walkthroughs also, but... but if he's the best solid video walkthrough that I've ever seen. And then of course I do use GameFAQs a lot for walkthroughs. There's a particular fact writer on GameFAQs that who wrote some really good stuff for Final Fantasy. So I've got walkthroughs and stuff to really help me through because 4 I'm a little shaky on 4 as far as remembering everything. That's mostly remembering equipment and what kind of stuff, and of course the secrets where all the treasure is. 5, I played 5 recently, and I was surprised at how much I remembered. So I think I got that one down pat. 6 was the first one I played, and that's my favorite so far. So I got that one down pat. 7 I got down pat. 8 I got down pat. 9 I'll need to use some walkthrough assistance here and there, but yeah, that's the whole point. So yeah, Final Fantasy IV, it's coming. I'm super excited. My buddy Cabot SD, who I've been doing music collaboration with. He's really the main one who kind of got me into the series with some of his, remixes, particularly the Dancing Mad remix, which if you haven't watched that, go do it right now. You will love it. Yes, I did contribute a little bit to that, but you'll still love it anyway. So yeah, so Final Fantasy IV, that's going to be coming up soon, and I'm super stoked about it. So we'll see you then. Oh, one more thing, since I didn't mention this before. The trailer, obviously, as you saw, was the Chronicles version, which was the first PlayStation release of the game. I'm not going to be playing that version. I'm going to be playing the Japanese fan translation, JE2 translations, I believe it is, because they've got a good, solid translation. The Chronicles translation is kind of lazy. It's better than the Super Nintendo English version that we had gotten way back in the day, but it's not great. I think the Japanese fan translation's probably the better of them. I've heard the PSP version is the best, but I don't have any way to emulate that. I wish I did, though. So we'll do the Japanese fan translation there. If you know anything about me, or you may not know, but I try to keep my videos swear word free, and there's going to be some cussing in the text, and so it's going to be there. I won't necessarily read it, but it will be there, so watch out for that. But because anybody what people may not know is Final Fantasy 1 came out on the NES, and Japan and the outer region, like North America and all that kind of stuff. Well, we Americans didn't get Final Fantasy 2 and 3, or 2 and 3 on the NES. Japan did, but we didn't. So for whatever reasons, I don't know. So then they came out with Final Fantasy IV, and they did release that in America on the Super Nintendo, but instead of calling it Final Fantasy IV, they called it Final Fantasy II, because they figured we'd be confused. Us poor little Americans would be confused if we had Final Fantasy I and then IV. And we're still confused. A lot of people are confused with this subject. But yeah, we're confused. So they called it 2 to try to avoid some confusion. Then they didn't bother releasing 5 on the Super Nintendo in America, and they went straight to 6, which, again, to avoid confusion, they called it 3. So on the Super Nintendo, when you played Final Fantasy 2 and 3, you were actually playing 4 and 6. There you go. And eventually they re-released some of the other ones, like on PlayStation and whatnot, and So, but just I'm just saying the Final Fantasy for Japanese fan translation. That's the one I'm going to do. It because they not only changed the title of that game, they really, from what I understand, they dumbed it down for us poor Americans because they thought we couldn't handle the difficulty level. So they made it a lot easier to gain levels, a lot easier to do this, a lot easier to do that. And it's like it became Final Fantasy IV for dummies. The Japanese translation is not like that. The Japanese translation or the fan translation is not like that. It's the way it was originally intended to be. And the Chronicles version, there's a few things here and there that are a little bit easier, but for most of all, it's the same way. It's the same as the Japanese fan translation. There's a few differences here and there, but so it's not quite easy type. It's a little easier. Just one thing that I spotted, and I'll point it out when I actually play the game. But other than that, it's. But I'll play the fan translation because it's the same. It's the original difficulty level. It's a pretty good translation. It ad libs a little bit here and there and throws its own things in, but that adds flavor and character to it. So I'm super excited about it. And so stay tuned for my next Let's Play, Final Fantasy IV. Woohoo!